Hello, once again. It's been a while since I made a video, huh? Happy New Year, happy 2022. And I've been feeling a little sick lately. My voice kind of messed up. I don't know if it's going to be a thing on here, but I think I'm feeling a little better now. I feel a little better. I feel like I'm up to do a new video. And I decided to do a video on, let's see here, a video, a Bookerman video. I haven't done one of those in a while. I don't even remember the last one I did. Oh, but this one is going to be kind of ironic. It's almost like the Destin Bookerman that was going to be done with that. That's a Bookerman about a Bookerman. Booker T. See where I'm going with that now? This is what I've been thinking about a little bit last few days here. And Booker T in 2003, 2002 for that matter. Like, this dude was incredibly over, incredibly great in the ring. Arguably at the prime of his life, his career. You could probably make an argument a few years before or after that, maybe. But, like, he really didn't ever get that bad off, I don't think, in wrestling. Not, like, at a really bad level, just kind of less good. And so you have this guy, and he's very over, and you got WrestleMania coming up. And you have Booker T and Triple H, the hated heel. WrestleMania 19, you probably know the story what happened here. Booker T was supposed to win the world title at WrestleMania 19 in 2003. And then Triple H just axed that and held the title for another 6 months or whatever the fuck. Holy shit, like, that is insane to me. And this feud, if you didn't know, if you go and watch the Raws leading up to it, it was a very racially motivated feud. It's probably not a good idea to book that and then have the racist white dude win the match, you know. Like, if the plan was for Booker to beat his ass, it's still going to be controversial, but at least you're building up to the point of the guy who is being discriminated against is going to get the win and kick the shit out of the guy who's being a dickhead. Because that's probably something people can live vicariously for, like, oh, fuck that racist asshole, rich racist asshole, you know, who thinks he's better than everybody. But instead, you get this weird story. And the match itself is pretty good, but it could have been so much better, especially the ending. And then you had Triple H not only hold title for another 6 months, he was the Goldberg. And I like Goldberg. Hell, I love Goldberg. I ordered the pay-per-view to watch him win the title, for fuck's sake. But look at back now, this was stupid. This was bad booking. Now, I'm not saying Goldberg couldn't win the title in time. In fact, you know, I kind of thought about if Booker did beat Triple H, would he drop the belt to Goldberg? I don't think that was going to happen. Looking back on it, like, this whole thing, Booker did eventually win a world title 3 years later. It took him 3 years, him holding all of the different titles you could hold but a world title, and to change gimmicks to King Booker, which is still amazing, by the way. Fucking love King Booker. He should go in the Hall of Fame again as King Booker. He's right in there as Booker T in Hall of Fame. King Booker deserves his own induction. I say that right now. Put King Booker in the Hall of Fame. Come on, you cowards. Do it! Like, eventually you're going to have to put people triple anyway, so let's do it. Anyway. Booker, it took him 3 years. Winning every title known to man that you could win in WWE, except a world title. Changing his gimmick to King Booker to finally win the world title. Oh, and also whooping Batista's ass in the backstage segment. Oh, in a commercial. Sorry about that. That's what it took. And it's insane because you look at Booker, look at the way he performed, look at the way he kept promos. He was amazing. You could have gave him the title at any point. This dude was incredible. He getting reactions, everything. I still remember him saying, what was it? Put it up your ass like a shove it up your ass like a open mouth bass. On a recent Raw review I did. So I'm gonna book the way it should have been done. Booker T winning the WrestleMania thing, beating Triple H's ass. Now pretty much we just do the same match. Booker gets to win the Houston Hangover. Let's do that. It's different. It's unique. Instead of Ric Flair hurting his leg and him cost his match, just have him actually win the damn match. Now after WrestleMania, I'm gonna book this a little different. I'm not gonna talk about every single Raw and SmackDown that's, you know, being built up. Because, you know, it just kind of feels like that's a little too much work. I will talk about specific Raws, SmackDowns if they're important to the story. Not I guess it's Raws here. Mostly pay-per-views though. So we'll talk about the Raw after Mania. Basically, this is just an established Triple H. He, you know, you can see him backstage. He does a brief interview where he says, "Booker, you got one over me, and I give you props. But what the day's gonna come when I get my revenge, and I'm gonna take my title back. And you better watch out," you know, something like that. Just to stay there in Triple H, not too much to put into it. But he doesn't become the number one contender for Backlash. Instead, we get a match with Chris Jericho and Rob Van Dam. No, can't be Rob Van Dam because you know. I'm trying to think. Who the hell are we? We make a very strange match for Raw, which is Jericho and the Hurricane. Because why not? Hurricane was cool. He was over also. From this time, he just beat The Rock. Jericho didn't beat Shawn. The story could be here that Shawn was supposed to be in the match, a triple threat, and then Jericho takes him out backstage to continue that feud. Because that's a nice little continuity. And then Jericho beats Hurricane. And because Bischoff puts down an edict that if anybody interferes in the match between Booker and Jericho Backlash, they will be fired or suspended indefinitely. Shawn can't do shit, at least till the match is over. So that leads us to Backlash. Booker T defending the World Heavyweight title against Chris Jericho. His first title defense, and he wins in a great match, because why not? The next night on Raw, again, I'm going to keep kind of booking these when they're important to the story, we get, in pretty much every Raw after every paper is going to be kind of the main important Raw, so I'll probably tell you about those. Up until Bad Blood, because it kind of goes off the rails. Alright, so we get into the next night. We have Triple H says an important statement that Eric Bischoff has guaranteed him an automatic rematch for his championship anytime he wants. But he's going to pick it. He's going to pick his spot. He's going to wait. He talks about Booker beating Jericho and how good he must feel having defended the title, how he feels like a real world champion. He wants to take that moment when it's most precious to him, when it feels like he's so good, and destroy him, take it from him, and rip it from his cold hands. Even Triple H says, you know what? I want you to be like Golem when the ring is taken from his hands. And he's sitting there, and he has it right there in front of him. His precious. I'm going to take it directly from you, and you're going to melt. You're going to fall apart. You're going to become a shriveled has-been. A shriveled, broken down shell of yourself. Not has-been. A shriveled, broken down shell of yourself. So we find out for that, and that leads to a Battle Royal being made on Raw. And the finals of the Battle Royal is Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair, presumably. And then these two kind of throw each other, and Shawn ends up throwing him over, and you think Shawn's going to title shot, but then he gets attacked, big booted by Test. Because let's give Test a title shot. Why not? So that leads to Test and Booker Judgment. Before that, Booker T, on the Raw after Backlash, he cuts a brief promo where he says Eric Bischoff and Triple H don't dictate his destiny. He does. And those suckers don't get to decide who Booker T is going to be or something like that. He can say something better than that. I don't want to write Booker T. Booker T's badass. So the next week, we get Booker actually saying he's going to defend his world title against a person he wants to choose. Someone he's seen up and coming. Someone he feels is really good and hasn't got an opportunity, and that's the Hurricane. So we get a Booker T Hurricane match. Booker T versus the Hurricane. T versus the Hurricane in a world title match. Booker wins. So there's another Raw I booked here or whatever. Booker wins in the main event, baked at the main, and then at Backlash. We get the Backlash, Booker T and Test. Booker also wins. Spoiler alert. The next night on Raw, there's a kind of random 6-man tag with Booker T and Goldust and Shawn Michaels against Chris Jericho, Test, and Scott Steiner, who kind of doesn't want to be here because they don't like Test, but whatever the fuck, This is just bad. Anyway, Booker ends up winning. He's celebrating rings, but now where Triple H comes, hits him with a sledgehammer to the back of the head. Then hits him again. Goldust tries to intervene, but Ric Flair comes to him with a low blow. He goes down. And Shawn's kind of already chasing Jericho out of the arena. Oh, yeah, I put Jericho in the match. Did I put Jericho in the match? I didn't. It was Test, Scott Steiner. No, Jericho was there. Jericho's there. If he wasn't there, he was there. Okay, so that happens, and then Triple H is beating him down some more. He gets a chair and sits on his chest, putting on his throat, because I always love that visual. And he gets the mic and he says, "Guess what, Booker? Game over." No, I fucked it up. He says, "Booker, guess what? I've already decided when and where we're going to have our title match. I get my rematch and my World Heavyweight title back at Bad Blood, the first ever Raw exclusive pay-per-view in just 3 short weeks, Booker. In your hometown of Houston, Texas, so I can embarrass you in front of the people you love the most." And he says, "Oh, and one more thing. It's gonna be Hell in a Cell." And you have Jericho go, What is going on? This can't be. And he says, that's when he says, "At Bad Blood, it's game over for you, Booker." And that's the way Raw ends. We get a Hell in a Cell with Booker and Triple H. Because that would be a huge match to put on Bad Blood. You have Goldberg could fight Jericho, as you actually did. You can make this in Kevin Nash. You don't have to put Nash's card, but make him fight Test, Have a little storyline that Test is being mean to Stacy, Kevin Nash, and like that. So it's got something just make Test and Nash. Because that could be like a little passing of the torch, like the former big, tough dude that does big boots versus a new big tough dude that does big boots. Because Test was really good. I really think Test is another guy too. Probably should have been a world champion at some point, or at least got a better push than he got. So anyway, moving on from that, like we get Booker T and Triple H in the Hell in a Cell, and I think this would be a great match. Fantastic Hell in a Cell. It makes sense with the feud, the storyline, even though it hasn't been as personal for a little while. Because and if you're wondering about Triple H, like another pay-per-view, like at Backlash, he teamed with Flair against Shawn and Diesel, or Nash, whatever. That's a little fun tag match. And then he fought Kevin Nash just like he did in real life at Judgment Day, except now he wins. You know, you could have him cheat if you want to protect Nash. I don't really see the point, but like I feel like a sledgehammer to the knee behind his back would be a really cool visual. He puts on the Indian Death Lock and Nash just doesn't tap out, but he passes out for the pain or something. That would be kind of a cool idea. Anyway, so Booker T and Triple H on the cell, and guess what? Booker T wins and retains the title because he should. There's really no reason. Now this point, Booker T has been champion for about 3 months. Now there's a pretty big gap. I think like 2 months between this and the next pay-per-view, which is SummerSlam. So in the meantime, Booker T is a fighting champion. He defends against his friend Goldust. Because why not have Goldust get a title shot? They're friends. He offers him a title shot. At first, Goldust isn't sure about it, but he puts it. Goldust is saying, like he doesn't want to fight Booker. He doesn't feel like that's right. And then Booker T brings up but it's like a movie, man. Your friend has a title, and we can make great magic here. We can have a great fight, and we'll be friends. He brings up like Apollo Creed and Rocky. Those two beat the hell out of each other. They beat each other's ass, man. Those two could beat each other up, and they can still be friends at the end of the movie. They didn't even let each other be in it. You and me, we can be friends, So they have their match. It's pretty good. I would assume it would be a really good match for the two. They could have a little fun with it. And then we get after that, I would have Ric Flair get a title shot on Raw. I also have a brief thing where even though Triple H is still around, he's not hurt or anything. In real life, he got hurt around this time, but let's just assume he doesn't get hurt because I'm not going to put all the real life injuries. Oh, also, if you're running... I'm overbooking a little bit here, but at Bad Blood, it was originally Christian defending the Intercontinental title against Booker T. Since now Booker T isn't there, well then who gets a shot? Hurricane. Because Hurricane's cool. And why not do that, And maybe he wins. Now, Christian probably holds it a little longer, but at some point Hurricane will win the title. So, and I would even give Christian a title shot, because why not give him a world title shot? He gives Booker agrees to give him one at one point. So, that'd be cool. And, around the end of July, though, Booker T gets attacked. He gets blindsided. And he gets chokeslammed through the ring by Kane. And that starts his feud to SummerSlam. Kane and Booker T. Now, this is Kane right after he got unmasked. He showed his face off, and after he was, trying to tombstone Linda McMahon, setting JR on fire. Just doing kinds of evil supervillain shit. You know what I'm fucking talking about. Probably one of the best runs of Kane until they kind of fucked it up like they always do. Not to be negative, but you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So, but this time, Kane is now getting a title shot at Booker T at SummerSlam. There's no chamber. Goldberg fights Triple H 1-on-1. We can have Shawn can fight Orton there too. Or I would probably make some kind of tag match maybe, between them to make something that kind of fit everybody the card maybe. Maybe you have Shawn and Nash against Randy and Rick. I don't know. Or maybe Jericho and Randy versus Shawn and Nash. Or maybe you do Jericho and Nash and hair versus hair, and then Shawn versus Randy. Or maybe Shawn versus Orton and Flair, and he gets a partner. I don't know who the partner would be though. A tag match. You could take Bischoff and Shane off of there. That's not that good a match. It's more of an angle in a match. And who the fuck wanted to see that? It has a good moment or two, but that's about it. Take that shit off. Just throw that to the wayside. You don't need to have that. You could just have something Shawn fights Randy. Instead of doing Unforgiven, you do a SummerSlam. And you have Jericho and Nash have their hair versus hair match on the pay-per-view. Because you could just get those 5 minutes. They could have a pretty decent match when he cuts his hair. Anyway, that's a long story to build. But anyway, so Kane, and then of course Goldberg and Triple H. Kane, and probably I wouldn't put a tag title match in here at all. I just put on saying sorry that Lee said there's a lot of resistance, but it wasn't that division was that high. Maybe put Shawn and Nash versus La Resistance versus Dudley versus Flair and Orton or something like that. And then Jericho, Hurricane, and Christian for the title. 2 matches, put everybody for out. Anyway, so Goldberg beats Triple H, not much better. And Kane beats Booker T to win the World Heavyweight title, ending his reign. However, he does it in a very fightful fashion. Booker T first gets chokeslams, regular style by Kane, and he's able to roll the ring and recover. Kane gets him back in the ring, and he kicks out. He chokes down Booker T. He's able to reverse the time. He hits a scissor kick on Kane, but Kane kicks out. He goes for the bookend, but Kane reverses that, and then he's able to get Booker up. Booker was able to knock him down briefly, goes for his hangover, but he gets caught by Kane, chokes him from the top rope. Booker gets his leg on the rope, and this is where Kane gets frustrated. So he goes to get Booker up at a tombstone. Booker's able to briefly escape. He gives a super kick to Kane. He starts trying to climb up to the top rope again, but he gets caught by Kane again, chopped in the throat. And Kane gets him on the second rope and tombstones him from the second rope and pins him with the old school Kane pin, with the old school taker pin, but Kane did do the one with the hands. And that's the way Booker T loses. He loses only like that. He needs to be tombstone from the second rope, because that would be a cool visual. It's something that not a lot of people have done, and it will look very cool at this point. And it's a good way to protect Booker, because he's been champion, but now he's, he was champ here 5 months. he defended against Hurricane, Goldust, Test, Chris Jericho, Ric Flair. So it's five people that really don't get that many title shots like from Chris Jericho. At least not in the 2000s, because Ric Flair got a lot, yeah, of course, but like didn't need a whole lot of title shots. Like, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? At this point, like they'd have to wait years to get title shots. You get those, and you also get Kane getting a shot. I didn't even say Goldust, Hurricane, Jericho, Ric Flair, Christian. Yeah, even Goldust. So that's like 6 different title matches there. In addition to him beating Triple H and Hell in a Cell. And so you got 7 title matches in a 5-month span that he wins. Not even counting when he won the title at WrestleMania. So after this, I would have Booker T. In real life, he was off for a little bit here from injury. I would have him written off a little bit of storyline-wise, give him some time off for a reason. And then at the Unforgiven, I actually would make the Elimination Chamber there. That they did a SummerSlam. Let's make it, but make it a little different with Kane, Goldberg, Triple H, not Kevin Nash. He could just leave. Jericho, Shawn, and Randy Orton. That kind of works. That's a good 6-pack. Maybe RVD. Maybe RVD instead of one of those guys. I'm trying to think. Or maybe the RVD fights Christopher for the Intercontinental titles, and then I don't know. No, I feel like RVD should be in there because he's a rival of Kane. So, but Kane. Let's just say Triple H. Kane, Goldberg. Let's say he also is injured by Goldberg. Kane, Goldberg, Randy Orton. Goldberg, Randy Orton. Jericho. Shawn, RVD. That's a good 6-pack right there. And Kane does not retain. I was going to say Kane retains. Goldberg beats him. Goldberg becomes champ just like he did in real life. And I don't think that is that bad a deal because he built up Kane as a monster. He built Goldberg. Goldberg probably needs to learn how to work better wrestling match styles because that dude he really never worked that many long matches. Like, look at his whole match career. I think he worked to combine. Like, if you could probably watch all his matches back to back, probably about not even a whole day would you need. But anyway, not the Barry Goldberg, I'm just saying. But I think it makes sense with how over he is, and he's been built up strong here. And the match Triple H at SummerSlam was kind of test the waters to see how well he's going to do. And then, so after that, Booker T does return, just like he did in real life, to be on the Survivor Series team for Stone Cold. That still happens. And then after that, instead of this weird feud with Mark Henry, didn't really make sense. He starts a brief feud with Kane to get his revenge for Kane who injured him. And he beats Kane at Armageddon to kind of build him up like he's going to win the Royal Rumble. But he doesn't, but, he finishes in the Final Four. And then, that's kind of where I'm in the story, because we already had the world title right. I don't know where I'd go over here, but the thing would be that he would eventually, at some point, challenge for the world title again. Maybe after Mania. I don't think he could really fight Benoit unless they don't really do face versus face. You could do it. But, yeah, you could do that, I suppose. Maybe I could see him, because he was still on Raw in 2000? No, he was on SmackDown. Well, he basically, on SmackDown, he just started to become a world title contender because he got that brief feud with Eddie. You could still do that. Make him heel, make him feud with Eddie. Instead of freaking JBL main eventing, they just make Booker T get a shot. Have JBL go for the U.S. title. Because that would be a fun feud. Have him go after John Cena, saying he doesn't like the what he stands for, the American values, and having him going from 0 to world title contender, he has to fight for the U.S. title. That makes some sense, and then you have Booker and Eddie as a main event. Eddie can still retain. But this is the way I would book it, like basically from year to year. And I feel like this would be such a good title reign that they easily could have did. Because not only would it make Booker look good, and Booker's awesome, and Booker deserved it. But, if I'm being honest here, Triple H didn't really have that many bangers from like WrestleMania 19 to SummerSlam. Like, or to freaking Unforgiven. Like, what do I remember? The Hell in a Cell with him and Nash was very boring. I remember the match with him and Nash at Judgment Day being pretty good, but I haven't watched it in like 20 years. Has it really been that long? Holy shit! Like about 20 years. I've not watched that match. Fucking hell. And then the match he had with Flair was good on Raw. If you remember that one, that was pretty good. It was a short match, but it was good. And after that, like, what was even was like the Chamber was a good Chamber, but I could Triple H could do shit. He was injured legit, so I understand that, but it wasn't good. Goldberg whooping everybody's ass was good. That's what it worked. It was like him going in the freaking berserker mode. But then we have a shit finish that match because it protects Triple H. Because he was mad at Goldberg for not going to Africa, like legitimately, because it wasn't his contract or something. And maybe Goldberg should have played ball already, and maybe Triple H didn't have to be a whiny little baby about it. But anyway, after that, him and Goldberg, I watched that match since then. I watched it as a kid, and I liked it as a kid, but then I watched it since then. I have it on Goldberg DVD over here. And I watched that thing on The Unforgiven, and it's not that good bad. It's okay, but it's more about him winning the title. The crowd isn't even that into it. So, yeah, I think it would have been better to see a Booker T World Title reign in 2003. And you still could have King Booker in this thing. That doesn't change. But anyway, and also Hurricane gets to be the Crown Champion at least once. I didn't say that, but that would happen at some point. I did kind of allude that. So, anyways, thanks for watching, and have a great day. Hope you had a great 2022 already.